Welcome to Salt of the Earth Farm Stories, where the heart of farming comes alive. Each week, host Darren Grigg will dive into the rich tapestry of farm life, sharing tales of hard work, laughter, and the incredible people who bring our food to the table.
We're setting that plan up to be really healthy. And like with humans, if you've got a healthy human, they're less prone to disease. And the same is for a plant. If you've got a healthy plant, it's less prone to pest and disease.
Today, I'm joined by Courtney Young from Woodstock Flour, a small mill in northeast Victoria producing beautiful organic flour. For Courtney and Ian, it all began on their kitchen bench with a tiny mill and grew into a passion for local food and soil health. We talk about the growing interest in the local food movement, supporting grain growers, and the regenerative practices they use, from coating wheat with organic biology to managing weeds and pests naturally. Their flour is now loved by bakers, chefs and home cooks alike. And as Courtney shares, being open and honest about their journey and product has been key to their success. Let's get into it. Hello Courtney.
Hi.
Thanks for having me back.
No, thanks for coming.
I'm really looking forward to learning about Woodstock Flour. So Courtney, I'm currently looking at a really nice crop of wheat, flour meal here just beside us, some trees and lots of birds. What do you see?
Yeah, I see our wheat crop, which is finally enjoying some sunshine. It's been a pretty challenging, dry start to the year, so it's just nice that we finally got that rain in June, I think it was, and we're able to get this crop in. So I'm just grateful that there's something growing here. It's not totally bumping yet, but it'll get there.
And can you tell us whereabouts are we today?
We're in Lilliput, which is just out of Rutherglen in Victoria, on our little farm. We've got 100 acres here, which is where our home is, but also our flour mill here as well.
So there's yourself and Ian and two kids?
Yes, yep. Our two kids, Mabel and Marlon. And then we've also got Matt and Hannah, some friends that have set up a micro bakery in the shed next to the flour mill as well.
All right. So let's look into Woodstock Flour. What is it today and can you tell me what it's about?
Yeah, so we process grain grown mostly by Ian's family on the family farm Woodstock in Berrigan, New South Wales. We grow a little bit of grain here too. We purchase some grain from a few other organic growers. So we mill that grain here and produce stone ground flour. We produce a lot of whole grain flour, but also some higher extraction white flour, and we sell to mostly bakeries and restaurants and retail shops and families kind of across Australia, but predominantly here in Victoria.
So is it mainly wheat?
Yeah, we've got two different types of wheat. We've got a Spitfire wheat, which is a bread wheat, and we've got a Rosella wheat, which is more of a biscuit wheat, lower in protein. But we've also got rye, and we did have some triticale and spelt, but we're running low on those.
You can make flour out of triticale too?
Yeah. The triticale is a really interesting like caramel flavor. It's quite a red in color and like a nice rich flavor. Yeah.
So what originally sparked the idea for Woodstock Flour?
Ian and we both wanted to get into farming, and Ian has always been really proud of the grain that his family grows at Woodstock, where he grew up. I think it was 8 years ago or nearly 9 years ago that we started the business. We saw an opportunity to provide fresh flour to people, straight from the farm. And this was at a time when, in Melbourne at least, the kind of local food movement was really starting to kick off. There was like lots of farmers value adding their produce, but not many people value adding grain. So we saw an opportunity to jump in and give that a crack. But it was a real gamble, and I guess we didn't invest too heavily at the start. We only spent like $400 on a kitchen benchtop mill, and we're just trialing it at farmers markets. But at those farmers markets in Melbourne, there was such interest and demand that it kind of gave us the confidence to take the next step and invest in a more commercial mill.
Wow. So you and Ian, you both studied ag for a while, didn't you? And that's where you met?
Yeah, we met studying at Melbourne University, we met in this wine tasting subject at Dookie, which is a really lovely subject where we got to learn about, you know, how wine is produced and how the terroir and the farming practices influence how the wine tastes and how the wine is made. And I think a lot of those ideas or threads have carried into the way that we approach flour as well, that, you know, the variety of the grain that you grow and how you grow it, what farming practices you employ and where it is grown all influence the final flavour and the outcome in the bread or what have you.
Yeah. So would you say that love started whilst maybe sampling some wine
Yeah,
at uni?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Was there a moment when you realised people were generally interested in where their food came from?
Yeah, you know, at those farmers markets when we first started out with our small little mill, there was so much curiosity about what we were doing. People didn't realise how flour was made. They didn't realise that flour could be fresh and could smell really beautifully. And Pippa, who's now a friend, she founded Tivoli Road Bakery with Michael James. Pippa James told us, you know, she loved what we were doing, but she wanted to order 2 tons, not just 2 kilos, which is what we were selling. So that was like a really nice moment where we're like, oh man, there is interest in this. There's demand for flour with a known origin and a story and a connection to the land.
So what's involved in your small batch milling process and what does that mean?
So we have 2 stone mills at the moment. So the grain just kind of, you know, starts at the top in the hopper and then it is passed through 2 stones. One of those stones is rotating and grinding on the other, and then out comes whole grain flour. So it's really simple. One of the mills, Ian and his brother Hamish built themselves using locally sourced granite, which is pretty cool. So it's, yeah, granite stone where there's these particular patterns in the stone that allows the grain to kind of be moved around and ground in a circular fashion. And so, yeah, out comes whole grain flour. And then we can sell the whole grain flour or we put it through our sifter and we sift off about 15 to 20% of the more coarser fraction to create a whiter flour.
Okay, so that different density or coarser flour will be used for different methods or different products?
Yeah, so what comes out is kind of like a bran product, which some of our bakers use to coat their loaves of bread in, but we also just feed it to our animals when we've got them. They love a bit of bran.
Yeah, so it seems like it's a very much like a hands-on approach to milling. And why is that important to buyers?
Because it's so simple, it's so straightforward, it's just one single pass, it retains a lot of the flavour. Like if you were to mill that flour over and over and over again, the damage that would cause to the starch and the heat that would cause would mean that some of the flavour would volatilise. So having fresh, really simply milled flour means it's more flavoursome, and I think that's, you know, our biggest selling point is that the flour is full of flavour.
And it's really important that you keep all your different grains separate, isn't it?
Yeah, we try to, we do mill single origin grains, and the reason we do that is to optimize that flavor or like kind of elevate that flavor even more. If we were to kind of mill a bunch of different grains from different farms and different varieties, it would kind of dilute the flavor. It's like, yeah, if you just have a lot of one variety, then that flavor is more pronounced. Yeah, it's just it's easier for us to communicate that with our bakers as well when it's just one particular variety from one particular farm.
And you have a lot of trust from your bakers and cooks, don't you?
Yeah, I think like Ian is in the mill full time. He's the head of our business. He invests a lot of time and energy into the relationships with his bakers, and he's super honest and transparent with our customers and our wholesale accounts. Yeah, I think, you know, when it comes to small business, relationships are everything, and he really prioritizes that, looking after people and in the hope that they'll also look after us in return. But he also just loves it. Like, we love visiting our bakers. We love, we've been camping with bakers. We have them over and they cook us dinner or whatever. Like, it's just the best having these relationships with people that, they might be a similar age to us even, or we just have a shared love of food and being outside and farming. Yeah, it's definitely one of the best parts of the job, is to build those relationships with these awesome bakers that are doing awesome things for their community.
Yeah. Can I go back to the start of the process where you're sowing and growing for the harvest? What happens? Have you got a different sort of process that you take on here?
Yeah, I mean, we're only farming 100 acres now. We're starting to be a little bit more involved in Ian's family's farm. But here we are organic. We cultivate, so we plough up country before sowing. But this time, we know that too much cultivation is not ideal for soil biology and soil structure. So this time round, we've trialled with a lighter cultivation. We ploughed up a lucerne paddock. So lucerne is a legume that fixes nitrogen. And we only kind of partially ploughed up that lucerne. So we've still got heaps of lucerne plants out in the paddock. And then we were able to sow wheat alongside clover into that paddock. Yeah, we always want to sow with a legume because that legume kind of provides the nitrogen, and that diversity is really important for the soil biology. And we always sow our wheat with a biological seed treatment. So this year we coat the wheat with vermicast, so from worm juice extract sort of thing. And then we also coat the legume seed in rhizobia, which is a particular type of bacteria that supports nitrogen fixation.
It wouldn't happen to be Nutrisoil, is it?
Yeah, no, it's Nutrisoil.
How are you inoculating the seed?
So we just kind of coat it like pretty manually from a hopper and just pour it on and mix it up and let it sit before it goes into the seeder. It's not super technical, but I think it's something like 10 litres to the tonne, potentially. 10 litres per tonne of seed is about the rate that we're putting it on.
Well, the Nutrisoil product, I just think it's like liquid gold. You could put it on anything and it grows.
Yeah, it's great.
I've even tried putting it on my head a couple of times to get the hair growing, but it didn't work there.
Yeah, it's so awesome to be able to pull up the seedlings and see the rhizosheaths forming so prolifically. Like, you can see those little plants out there, they don't look super impressive right now, but you can see how much action is going on underground.
So you're fixing nitrogen naturally. Are you then adding more nitrogen later on during its growing period?
No, I mean, not super directly. Like, we will do a foliar. So our program is usually one plant sap test early on in the season to understand how that plant is faring nutritionally. And then based on that, we'll put out a foliar application of nutrients. So, and these are all certified organic permitted nutrients. So we'll put out things like boron and molybdenum, and some calcium, some lime. I think we put out magnesium sulfate, which is just like Epsom bath salts, and zinc sulfate, I think, copper sulfate, things like that we put out as a foliar application. And often we try to combine biology with that as well. So last year we fermented what's called a biofertilizer. So this is something that we learnt from David Hardwick, who's also a local around here, where you kind of create this culture, which is very similar to a sourdough culture, this culture of wheat, milk, and molasses, and you're creating this kind of yeasty bacteria culture that you then add all of those nutrients to. So it's like this really delicious kind of foul-smelling application that can then go out on the crop and provide that crop what it needs to.
Wow,
to keep
you're
going.
Mixing that here yourself?
Yeah.
And is that going on by a boom spray or just a jet spray?
Yeah, just a sprayer. Yeah, we've just got a small one. Like, we've never obviously sprayed any weeds or anything with the sprayer. So it's quite funny, now with regenerative cropping, that lots of people are using sprayers, but for a totally different purpose.
Yeah. So David Hardwick helped you through that mixture?
Yeah, so he runs some really great courses on biofertilizers, and we follow a version of his recipe.
And he's a legend, I reckon.
The
way he explains things, it makes sense.
It does, yeah.
How does it feel for you, Courtney? You're looking at here, there's no chemicals. It's organic. That must feel good.
Yeah, it does. Like, I do get worried about the cultivation piece, and I'd really love to work out how to crop with minimal cultivation. But I think the fact that we're able to bring in more diversity by planting wheat with clover and the lucerne, and the fact that we do have like a kind of a longer crop rotation. We have 4 years in pasture phase before it's cultivated again and gone into crop. So I think that pasture phase is really important. But yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I'm so excited that, you know, when we can see with the plant sap tests and we can see the nutrition being met, and then we can see it in the flour mill, we can see that it just tastes really bloody good. And that makes me feel proud.
So you've grown the crop, it's time to harvest, you have a header come in, and then what happens next? Have you got to look at the moisture content of the grain before you mill it, or do you need to let it rest for a while?
Yeah, we harvest at a pretty dry moisture content, so around that 9-10%. Because we store the grain organically, like it's pretty important to have dry grain in the silos. And yeah, like out at the family farm, it's not that difficult for it to get to 9-10% moisture content. But here last year, we got hit by some last minute rains, which was really sad. We didn't lose the crop, but we got all this rain in December when we were just about to harvest, and the wheat shot and sprung, so it started germinating, which meant it was no longer fit for milling. So that was a real shame. We'd kind of nursed this wheat crop through a pretty dry season, and then it just got too much rain at the last minute. But yeah, once it's harvested, it can just go straight into the silo. We only would harvest it if it was at the right moisture content. And then, yeah, from the silo, it can go straight into the mill.
Right. So I guess in that situation, when you've got a lot of rain here, it's then handy to have Ian's family's farm out towards Berrigan and possibly didn't get that same moisture.
Yeah, no, they were pretty good. They were fine. So yeah, I think diversifying where our grain is coming from is important. But we're also with the business reaching a point where we would like to grow the business to be able to support other growers. You know, there's so few flour mills in Australia, and there's all these amazing growers doing really great work, and then they are getting bugger all for the grain that they're growing. So we feel like there's a huge opportunity to be able to support more growers and provide them a premium for the hard work that they're putting in.
And organic growers?
Well, organic growers, but also we're looking at a regenerative, you know, we're still figuring out how we communicate this and what that looks like, but a more regenerative line, because we know that our customers are open to that. They're open to a non-organic line if they can have some sort of assurance that those farmers are still doing good things, even though they're not organic.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
So is maintaining ground cover important to you?
Yeah, I think it's challenging in a cropping situation, but we're seeing that we're getting, you know, we are getting those summer drops of rain. And so we're trying to be a little bit more organized by having summer multi-species seed ready to go, so that when this crop is harvested, we can put some sunflowers in, we can put some millet in, and it'll get up over the summer, and we'll have, you know, a vibrant summer crop. Sometimes it's so dry that, you know, summers can be really dry that it's impossible to get a multi-species summer cover in. You know, I think there's more opportunity to do that. But then, yeah, across our pastures, ground cover is super important.
You've mentioned before using sheep as part of your system. How do they fit into the farming practice here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, well, sheep or steers, whatever we feel like. We get sick of sheep and having to shear them and crutch them, and so then we go and get some steers, but then we get sick of steers because they run through our fences, and so it's a rotation of animals, but they're super important, and we do love working with animals. They bring us so much joy. But yeah, because we've got that 1 year crop phase, 1 to 2 year crop phase, and then maybe 4 years pasture phase, like we want livestock to be making money out of that, and we also want the livestock to be able to trample those grasses and provide that manure and those nutrients back to the soil before it goes back into a crop.
And once every 4 years, so tilling the ground once every 4 years, is that to keep your paddocks cleaner too?
Yeah, so weeds are definitely a big challenge in organic cropping. In organic cropping, you don't really see as much of an issue with insects or fungal diseases. It's definitely the weeds are the challenge. And so cultivating allows you to get on top of the weeds, but it also there's a cost in that as well, because it can impact soil structure and set your soil biology back. Yeah, ryegrass is like our main weed that we and every other farmer probably battle with. But I think we're doing a lot to kind of address our calcium. We've got low calcium soils, we've got acidic soils. So I think when we start to address calcium and when we start to bring in some more fungal inputs, we're keen to build a Johnson Sioux composting machine, like composter, what are they called? Bioreactor, I think they're called. Putting out some Johnson Sioux extract, like I think we'll start to see that ryegrass competition step back. Like we want to shift our soils so that it grows what we want it to grow. We don't want to be attacking the weed because the weed is there for a reason. So how can we shift our soils to better suit what we want to grow there?
Right. So you mentioned weeds being a competitor. How do you go with pests?
Yeah, not an issue at all. Like I think coming back to that nutrition program, like if we give that plant what it needs, what the SAP test is telling us it needs, and if we plant that crop with the seed treatment, that the vermicast on the seed, like we're setting that plant up to be really healthy. And like with humans, if you've got a healthy human, they're less prone to disease. And the same is for a plant. If you've got a healthy plant, it's less prone to pest and disease. So yeah, we don't see any issues with pests or disease. We've got, definitely weed issues, but we've got St. John's wort in some of our paddocks, which we're trying to work out how to grapple with. But we've actually seen this, I've forgotten the name of it, this beetle come in, which is actually a natural predator to the St. John's wort plant. I think it was an introduced predator.
Yeah. So like a biological control.
Yeah, it's like a biological control. So that's been fun to see this weed that we don't want there anymore actually just get sorted out by a little pest anyway. So it's like, for us, it's about having a diversity of insects so that they can balance themselves out.
Yeah. So with your plant then, you're giving it all the opportunity to have all the good bugs surrounding them to fight off any bad bugs that come in.
Yeah. And I think having that clover in there as well is, diversity means that your plant is less vulnerable as well. Like I think they've done studies where planting canola with peas meant that canola was less vulnerable because the bugs don't actually find the crop as visually appealing because they don't see this like beautifully yellow paddock, they see a patchy yellow paddock, so it's not as appealing to the pest. So diversity is like hugely important for making your plant less vulnerable, but also bringing in other insects to balance it out.
Is that a bit like companion planting in a veggie garden?
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting. Is being environmentally sustainable something you've always valued, or has it just evolved?
It's definitely been something I've always valued and something Ian has as well. Like Ian's parents obviously were certified organic since he was born, I think. So it's definitely been a part of his life, and for me too. My parents have always been really outdoorsy, and I've always appreciated farm landscapes and just natural landscapes growing up on the coast. And my dad in particular definitely instilled in me a sense of environmentalism, for sure.
Do you track your carbon here?
No, we don't. I mean, we do soil testing. So I can't tell you off the top of my head actually, but we've got the numbers there. But there's no kind of, at this scale, no financial incentive to do a proper kind of carbon audit or anything for us. But definitely, we want to see organic matter increase. And if we can see that organic matter number rise, then that means we've got more resilience and water holding capacity and more nutrients in our soil. So it's definitely wound up in our goals for soil. Yeah.
Do you think it'd be easier to become carbon neutral through cropping rather than livestock?
No, I don't think so. I think
really?
we're a mixed farm, so we've got the best of both worlds. But I think traditionally, cropping is more challenging to increase carbon levels because it is way more, there's more disturbance involved, and it's more challenging to keep ground cover on. But I don't think that's going to be the case forever. I think farmers are innovating and they're able to get more ground cover and more diversity. And when we have more diversity, we've got more carbon coming into the soil as well. So I think if we can move away from the monoculture cropping, then there's potential. But the wheat, barley, canola rotation that's traditional around here, that would be really challenging.
Yeah. And do you think regenerative practices could be a marketing tool?
Yeah, definitely. I'm wary of that as well. Like, I think, you don't want to see it get co-opted by big corporations, but consumers are so interested. Yeah, I think farmers who are doing good things. I mean, I just think the price of food is just so woefully low, and it's a shame that we have to compartmentalize things, carbon or biodiversity or regen practices. But I think that's the reality of what we're working with. And if farmers can be paid more for meaningful regenerative practices and actual regenerative outcomes on farms, then I think that's got to be a good thing. But we're excited about the potential there. Like, we obviously work with certified organic producers, but we see that there's a limit with certified organic. There are some certified organic producers out there that aren't always that great and are super intensive. And so I think there's an opportunity to work with regenerative growers and support them to do really good things. And I think that's kind of next for our business.
You started this business from scratch and literally from the kitchen bench with a small little mill. You said before you went off to the Melbourne markets and you realised there was that need or that want out there for your flour. You went from 2 kilo to 2 tonne of flour with just one customer overnight. That must have been mind-boggling. You've had to do the hard yards, haven't you? Such as go to the markets and do flyers and all those different little steps to take with advertising and getting your name out there.
Yeah, definitely. But I think it comes back to having a good product. Like, I think the product speaks for itself. It's so flavoursome. And then I think, back to that relationships piece. Like, we just have so much fun getting out there and hanging out with people that I think through some of the community work that I've done and like going along to events and meeting other people, it's been quite a natural build for us. And hopefully the momentum will continue. But yeah, I think being honest about our story and being transparent and generous, it's all kind of led to a really loyal and great customer base.
So Courtney, who is buying your flour?
We work with bakers, chefs, home cooks and retailers all across Australia, but predominantly in Victoria. Lots of sourdough bakers. Our main accounts are kind of small community-oriented sourdough bakeries.
And we've just got Hannah arrive. What's Hannah up to?
Hannah is one half of Slow Grown Foods, and she and her partner Matt, they are baking in our flour mill, and so that's been really fun. It's only been going on for the last few months. So they're baking bread and sweets for the local community and doing a bunch of farmers markets and things, and yeah, they use 100% our flour, so that's been really fun to see what they can do with it.
So how do people buy this? I believe you've moved online now?
Yeah, we've got an online shop, so yeah, they can jump onto our website and order flour, which we post across Australia.
And the website is?
woodstockflour.com.au.
All right, and you've got some great stories in there too, so you can learn a lot about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're still trying to fill it out, but there's a few recipes on there, and yeah, hopefully we're adding to it as we go, so yeah.
Do you have a favourite recipe?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a whole orange cake is one of my favorites. You kind of blitz up a whole orange and then bake this really beautiful cake with our rosella flour, and it's delicious.
And I've heard you can make some cracking sourdough pizza bases.
Yes, yeah, I haven't got the recipe up yet, but I will hopefully have it up soon. Yeah, pizza is really great with our Spitfire and our baker's flour.
And pasta?
Yeah, pasta with rosella. Yeah, between the Spitfire and the rosella, we've got it covered pretty much.
And do you have a favourite customer story that someone who really gets what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, this might be a bit more sad, but one of our biggest champions was a baker named John Reed, and he was a baker at Redbeard Bakery in Trentham, and he unfortunately died a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was all very quick and really, really awful, but yeah, we think about him a lot. He would come up and visit a lot, and he would always spruik us when we didn't want to be spruiked. And the flour mill that we built with Ian's brother, Hamish, we kind of dedicated to John because he had so much commitment to local grain and to farmers, and he just, yeah, he'd always make sure, like, if our prices were fair, like if, should we be charging him more for the flour, and is this situation working? And he was just so generous. Yeah, so he really set the bar high in terms of customer relationships, and he did so much for other farmers in the region too that, yeah, he's like a constant source of inspiration for us.
He sounds like such an amazing man. I'm sure he's still here with you today when you're in the mill.
Yeah, I think so. It's nice. He kind of picked out this. He was with Ian when they picked out the stones for the flour mill. So it definitely feels like he's very much part of what we do. Yeah.
Nice. What's next for Woodstock Flour? Any experiments or goals you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to work out what mill we're going to be investing in next so that we can, like I said, kind of support more growers. And we're keen to diversify our grains as well and grow some more interesting varieties. But yeah, like, this is a boring goal, but like, I guess it is pretty manual work. There's lots of heavy lifting and it's a pretty dusty environment. So we've got a goal of trying to automate a few things and make it safer and more efficient to work in, because it's not sustainable unless we can be doing it for years to come. So that's the priority over the next year.
Well, I don't know whether that's a good idea. I just said to you and Ian before how fit you're looking.
Yeah, Ian might not look so fit next year. Come and visit.
And you said earlier too, you want to move to get more farmers involved?
Yeah. So, yeah, we're still working out what that would look like. But like I said, I think there's so many great growers out there, but who don't have a market. They're just kind of sending it into the main silos and they're getting $200, $300 a ton for something that they've put a lot of blood, sweat and tears into. And I just would love to be able to support some local growers to get a better price and to feel connected to the customers that we have. Like, it's such, like I said, such a joy to be able to connect with people who use our grain and our flour. It's so fun seeing people enjoy that, and I want farmers to be able to experience that and to feel like they're producing food, not a commodity.
Well, I encourage all our listeners to log on to your website, www.woodstockflour.com.au, and all your products are listed on there, and you can buy anything from a couple of kilo right through to the bulk amount, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Courtney, we're ready for the off-the-wall questions. Well, I'm ready. Are you?
No.
I'm going to hit you up anyway. If Woodstock Flour had a mascot, what would it be?
I was joking to Ian that it would be the weevil that we are battling with in our silos.
I heard him yell though when you
I know, he didn't want me to say that. No, weevils are not an issue. It would be our dog, Jipper.
Jipper.
Yeah.
Okay. What sort's Jipper?
He's a Kelpie coolie. He's a very annoying sheepdog, but we love him dearly.
Well, he's very friendly. He greeted me. You get to host a dinner party with any three people, past or present, but all the food has to be made with Woodstock flour. Who's coming and what's on the table?
I feel like I have to say John,
Yes.
John Reed, the baker that I was talking about. It would be nice to have another meal with him. We were really inspired by a fella named Dr. Steve Jones, and I never got a chance to catch up with him. He's based in the US and he ran the bread lab in the US. He'd be good to have. And then the third one, I don't know.
Perhaps Ian?
Yeah, let's have Ian.
All right, and what's one of the things that'd be on the table?
I want to see more like dumplings and like steamed buns made with our flour. We had a customer make steamed buns once and they were incredible. I want to see more of that.
And if your crop could talk, what would it say to Ian?
Ian said that it would say, "I'm trying," because it's been so cold and you can see that it's putting down deep roots, but it looks like it needs more warmth. So yeah, it's having a crack.
Now, do the kids help you bake with flour?
They do.
And it doesn't get messy?
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, no, we make organic stone ground Play-Doh, and we love baking biscuits. Mabel can make Anzac biscuits by herself now, which is
Really?
a milestone. And Marlon tried making biscuits by himself, but he forgot to add sugar. So he's still got a way to go. But yeah,
Well, he's only 4.
he's only little. Yeah, baking with kids it's so important. It's so fun.
Yeah. So someone writes a movie about Woodstock Flour. What's the title?
Mission Impossible.
I like it. Now, if your meal had a theme song, what would it be?
What's that Bob Dylan song? Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Courtney, I've loved learning about Woodstock Flour, and
Thank
I'd
you.
encourage, as I said before, all our listeners to go to your website, learn more about you, buy some of your product. You're a phone call away from some more advice. So thank you so much for your time today.
No, thank you. Thanks for coming out. Nice to see you.
Thanks for listening. If you loved hearing from Courtney and want to learn more about her journey, there's a whole episode already published that goes deeper into her story. Be sure to check it out. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and follow us on social media. In the meantime, keep your hands dirty and your spirits high.